How's everyone doing? All right. Let me correct this camera angle just a little. Yeah, there we go. I think I have a pretty fun video. I had to take my camera off, and I'm gonna have to take it off again, because that is how I do what I do. But I didn't actually finish recording everything that I needed to, but I think I have a pretty fun video. Something that I'd like to do more often. So, like, I like doing my Rust class, but one of the things that I'd like to do is make computer software fun. So, I want to come up with some more. It's like how I made a Kubernetes operator that was intentionally designed to be fun. Um, so, I want to do more things like that where you're learning something, but it can be fun while doing it. The Rust so far kind of misses the mark, but I don't know of a better way of doing that specifically. Later, so we're almost done with that, and then I want to get into the more fun. Like, okay, yeah, then I want to get into the little bit more fun. So, all right, I think I have everything set up. Oh, okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to work on the null cloud later. But first off, we're going to do just a little bit of our Twitch alerts, our custom Twitch alerts, because tell you what, they worked. They were awesome. They sucked. You couldn't read them. They stayed up for an okay amount of time. The logo was too big. The text was too small. There was so much wrong with how that went. Um, Now, eventually, I think we actually want to make that configurable. I think it would be really cool if somebody wanted to help out and join in on the project and make all of those things configurable so when somebody goes and runs it, they can configure their alerts to look how they want. But for right now, we're just going to hard code it and try to fix it that way. So let's jump into that. This is the wrong project. Let's open recent Twitch alerts. All right, so I think really this is just mostly in. Is this just in the CSS? You know, I just realized we are going to need. We're going to have to set this up for debugging. Again. What a horrible experience. Okay, we need to do that, though. Let's see. Oh, also, do you guys know how to install Dig on Arch? I could not figure out how to. I know how to use Dig. I just couldn't. Oh, bind. Okay, there we go. All right, there we go. Awesome. Well, all right. Let's see. What do we need? We need to set up for testing. So, this was Twitch alerts. We need to run in monolith mode. Let's see. We need to Vim this bad boy. No. Now I gotta go change that. We need to source it. We need to source it. I need a script. That way I don't accidentally Vim it. Well, that's exciting. Okay, now we need to... Let's see if it's in our history. That looks about right. That looks about right. Now, the problem with that is actually listening to Twitch. We want to run Twitch locally and point it locally. So, how do we do that? We need to set up Twitch first. Let's get that running over here. Actually, we will just do it in a... I need to... You know what I need to do is I need to be using a multiplexer much more than I am. That's one of those things that I never really learned to use. So I got into Linux late in my career. I did a lot of Windows development. So like it wasn't even that I was developing on Windows. I was, when I first started, it was a Windows server and a Android client. So I just developed on Windows, but I did do like Android and stuff during it. And then after that, I did some stuff with GPUs, and then finally on Windows again. And then finally I got to Linux, so I'm a little spoiled. A little spoiled. Let's see. Oh man, I don't remember the command, so let's see if we have it. Twitch event trigger follow. That's a good one. I'm gonna run that just so it's close. But we need to actually run the Twitch we need to actually run the Twitch event help. Let's see. WebSocket. Can I just run WebSocket? Is this what I need to do? No. Let's see. Oh, start server. That's what I needed. Okay. Done. Now I can send events, and this should, yeah, there's no clients in the server. Perfect. Now we need to connect to it, which I believe this is just setting environment variables, which I believe I saved somewhere. Don't quote me, but I believe I saved them somewhere. If I did, it would be either in here, not there. I need to consolidate these into one place. I need a .hack file here. That is definitely true. That's something we can work on. Okay. Let's see. Maybe not in there. If not in there, not in the root. Where did I set it up in the monolith? No. Are you sure I didn't put it in here? Not in the target, but in the source. Yeah, that's just how to get a token. That's a fantastic README. Just authored fantastically. Okay. Is it not in the project maybe? I thought for sure that it was, because we had this trouble the last time we were trying to debug it. We had this trouble before, so I thought we saved this somewhere. And it should, you know what, let's at least do this. We're going to put this stuff in a folder now. We're going to put it in a hack folder. And we're going to move the one piece we saw here, yep, into this, which hack usually has like scripts. And I know that this isn't really a script, but you know what? We're going to make this a markdown. Rename that to beautiful. Okay. Now, what we're looking for is how to run the debug. So we have to like export some things to be in debug mode. I thought that it was in a script. I thought that we had a .sh in either the monolith or the Twitch listener service, but that doesn't appear to be true. This is a dead project. We can actually clean this up by just removing this. That's when somebody screwed up WebSockets. I don't know who would have been fool enough to screw up WebSockets. Okay, you know what? Maybe I just made it at my favorite place to make all these files. Maybe I just made it here. Twitchbox setup. Oh, look at that. I did. Okay, so let's put that in our hack folder. We have a hack folder here, so we'll just move that from, you know, I'm going to just copy it from Twitch mock setup to hack Twitch setup.sh. All right, cool. So now it's in the project. We can write a README. That's actually one of the things we need to do is go do this for the open source project for the Twitch API, because again, it wasn't quite clear. Okay, so now let's go ahead and source this over here. No, we need to source it over here. Cool. So that's just this is just exporting where everything should be listening. So when we run, we'll actually connect to our service here. So now if we actually go and run, we can go ahead and run our original command. I thought it was closer than that. This one. And now, wait, what? Oh, okay. So this is because we did that cleanup. We're in a cargo workspace. And so it's just complaining that the workspace doesn't exist anymore, which is fair. All right, now we're listening. You know what, though, that we didn't do? We have this all ready to set up and test, but we have one last terminal. We're going to put this one over here. Let's see. We need to go into the Twitch alerts. We need to write a script for this. We need to write a script that will just spin them all up and then shut them all down, because this is quite a bit to test this. We need to spin up the front end. Since it's in Wasm, we have to actually spin up the Wasm front end. So this is pretty easy. Trunk serve. Uh-oh. Oh, this happened the last time we did this because trunk serve tries to bind to 8080 by default, and the Twitch WebSocket testing server binds to 8080. So I believe it's just port. Let's do this. Port 9000. I super guessed. But port 9000 doesn't work because this binds to port 9000, so we'll go to 9090. Oh, perfect. All right, so now we're all good. We can test our CSS now. So this is kind of I'm going to say a little bit of painful testing setup. But I'm not sure there's much we can do about it because other than asking people to follow and unfollow, which is the one main way I know to do this, this is the way to do it. Okay, so let's actually test this and see what it looks like. Let's go to localhost. It was 9090, right? Should be a blank page, which is exactly what we would expect. We're actually going to pull up the inspect. Let's actually refresh this. We should see a WebSocket connection in our network here. So that's perfect. We see our WebSocket connection. We'll jump over to console. We should see our WebSocket connection. WebSocket closed. What? Uh-oh. New WebSocket connection. Okay. I think this is fine. I think we actually still have our WebSocket connection. When you refreshed like this, it was closing the previous one. I've seen that before. So it's right here spawning the background task for the webhook. So we should be good. All right, let's just go ahead and do a mock event here. So we'll trigger, I don't know why it's not rendering the T. There's a T there, but it's not rendering it. We'll do a follow. We should see it gets here, and then we'll eventually see it here. Yeah, beautiful. So this is the AI generated. We make personalized message for new followers and subscribers. So this is cool. So it's working. But what we found out was this is way too large, way too large, and this is too small and black. I think what we're going to do for now, which is just going to be kind of easy, is we're going to change the text to a white color. We're going to change the text to the light gray color of the null. We're going to shrink the null down. And then maybe make the text larger as well. Make the text larger because that was in the web browser here, but when you're in the Twitch, it's actually a lot smaller. So we're going to make the font larger, the image smaller, and we're going to put everything on a dark background. That's what we're going to do. Now, part of this comes in, I think I've shown you guys this, but in OBS, well, if my computer starts OBS, let's see. Come on, you can do it. It's working on it. All right, it's just taking a little while. There we go. All right. In OBS, when you're doing this and you have the browser source, it's just this browser source. And the, I would say, cool thing is it sets the background to nothing. So part of this could be solved by just not doing the custom CSS in here. And I think that's actually one of the things that we'll do. Now, I have to fix that on the Mac Mini that's streaming. Oh, actually, quick question for those of you who is watching. Do you guys know of a good way to put... I have a 2 PC, and I could look this up, but I'm just asking you guys. I have a 2 PC setup. So I have a Mac Mini that actually does the streaming, and I have my Linux desktop that I actually work on. Is there a good way to get the audio from my desktop to my Mac Mini? Because like I like this setup, but I would like to have the audio as well, because one of the things is I would like the alerts to play a sound. So I'd like to actually hear that. But at this point I don't have that, like, and I wouldn't actually hear it. I guess I could actually just play the sound on the Mac Mini. Oh, actually I could just do that. Because these headphones do actually play whatever on the Mac Mini. Never mind. Maybe I don't need to play any sound on my desktop. But that means, like, if I opened up, like, a YouTube video and we were going to watch it together for some reason, I wouldn't actually be able to hear it because it's not on my streaming PC. I got to think that through. Okay. Anyways, we don't need this anymore. I just wanted to show what that was. Okay. Let's jump into this. We got to do some CSS. I think we deleted all of our CSS. So that's great. And I'm pretty bad at CSS. So, you know, struggle with me. What we need to do is, this is pretty much what we're doing. We have this, but then we need to look at what we're rendering. So this is close to React. It looks like React, it smells like React, but it's in Rust. So don't get too scared off by that. All right, let's see. This is all we need, and this is where it renders it out. No. This is. So we just have our div with our wrapper. So I think we could just do a CSS class on this wrapper. And that would be okay because that wouldn't mess with that background replacement in the body. And I like leaving that because that's what most people are going to start with. So if somebody powered this up and just tried to plug it in with what is already in OBS, it would just work. So we should leave it that way, I think. Okay, so we need to do a wrapper here. Now, I haven't done pure CSS for a little while. So this is going to be fun. All right. Let's, yeah. I didn't know. Misspell it or something. All right, now we want a border radius, I think it is. Yeah, border radius. We'll just start with a, what? I don't know. I'm going to do 25 pixels. No. 25 pixels sounds huge. We should do like something a little bit more, one view height. Is that even a thing for the radius? That sounds wrong, but I'm going to go with that for right now. That is the border. Pretty sure that is a stupid thing to do, but we're going to go with that. And we need a background color. I thought it was background, but maybe it's background color. Let's do color. Let's pick a dark color. Do like a darkish blue. That looks too purplish. More steely. Oh yeah, 2D, 2C, 3B. Beautiful. All right. I think that's it. Do we have to do width and height? We just want it to be the fill. So I want to say no, we don't. Let's just see what this looks like. Let's just see. Let's go ahead and run another trigger. We'll wait for it to pop up. We didn't restart. I thought that this would auto load if trunk was doing its job. I guess trunk is not doing its job. That's not trunk. Where's trunk? Oh, here's trunk. Actually, maybe it did its job. And I didn't actually look. It might have done its job. It might have done its job. Definitely not what we were expecting. Okay. So it didn't get applied. Now, we have this ID. Now, this is where I haven't done straight CSS for a little while, to be honest. Haven't done straight CSS for a little while. And what I was wondering about, so I've done a lot of like the React CSS where you do like a React component or Tailwind. So CSS components, I think it's called, whatever it is. And that's where this would work. But do I have to give it a full like hierarchy? Or I actually might just need to do that. That might actually be okay. So it did redeploy. Let's refresh. I think, yeah, I'm probably just an idiot. That's probably correct. Okay, well, I'm not a complete idiot because I didn't actually fix it, but I think I'm on the right page. I'm on the right page because this would have been like a selector for like you know, like a P selector. So anything for a paragraph, which we need to do because we actually need to change the coloring of this, which I think was in a P. Let's check that out. Let's see. Yeah. Beautiful. Okay, so now we need to change the font of that. Font color. Font display variant stretch. What's font color? I don't know. CSS change font color. I thought it was supposed to be just like, oh, text, not font. Oh, you just do color in the. Oh, okay, okay. Color. And we wanted white. Yeah, beautiful. Except we want it to be a little gray. A little gray. Sometimes I find the white, just pure white, to be, yeah, 353535 is just beautiful, but probably too dark. 71, 71, 71. That's what we're going with. All right, now let's see if that takes effect of the P here. It did. So we're just screwing this up. We're screwing up the wrapper div. CSS. Oh, I got it. It's like div dot wrapper. Is that what it is? Or is it then div hashtag wrapper? There we go. There we go. I'm telling you, I haven't done straight CSS for a little while. Let's try that. Okay. Our font got smaller. It's a little too dark too. Let's I also think this looks a little purplish, the background, so let's fix that. Let's fix that. A little too purple. I said blue. Let's pull it closer to over here. Oh yeah. That's gonna be beautiful. All right, and you're too dark. 71, 71, you failed me. BCB, BCB, CBC. You're the new one. All right. There we are. We also need to make that image smaller. That image was magnificently huge. Not exactly what we wanted. Now, what we do have to remember is we're in a smaller box on that screen. So I don't think we want to limit it too much, but I'm going to do like half the view height, I think. So we're just going to do width of 50%. Width is a 50 view height, view width. Yeah. This is probably going to look horrendous. Okay, that's better. That is much better. Let's see. We now need it centered. Oh my gosh. I always fail to center stuff. Actually, no, we don't need it centered. We don't need it centered. That's a lie. Because again, the background's all going to be white, so this is going to just fill whatever thing is done there. So that's actually perfect. Let's jack up the size, font size. I don't know what this should be, so we're just going to play around with it. One thing that we could also do to improve this is make it where it doesn't actually hit the AI. Okay, so we're going to do this. We're going to move this to, let's say, 25. And we're going to make this P have a width of 50 of the view width. And we're going to say text align center. Can we just do an align center here too? I think. Maybe we need to do it on the div, the wrapper. I think maybe we need to do that here. Line item center. Not exactly what I meant. Not exactly. Um, okay, so I think what we need to do here is make this a flex box. Um, yeah, display flex. That's what I was thinking. Okay, so we're gonna make this a flex box. Let's see. Column. I think that Copilot was on the right move there. Sometimes Copilot misleads me in CSS though. So I'm too dumb to know when it's actually that's looked pretty good. That looks pretty good. But knew not how. A test, the stranger said. Prove myself and I shall follow you. Oh gosh. This is fantastic. You love this. Okay. I think this is looking pretty good. I think the last thing is we kind of want this to hug it. Kind of actually, I think I've been screwing this up this entire time. Let's get rid of these widths. No. We want the width on the we're gonna make this 35. No, we're gonna leave it. No, we're gonna leave it at we're gonna make it 30. We're gonna make that 30, but we're going to take the width off of the text. Basically, the width will the text will consume the whole box. I think that will be better. It won't wrap quite as much. And then I think we're good. I think we're good. Yeah, I think that looks fantastic. Got those rounded corners. Okay. One second. All right. So that looks pretty good. It's actually a calculated how long it stays up based off of how many words, which is pretty awesome. Edge spacing needs tweaking. Okay. Let's look at it. I was going to put my brace on. I wasn't paying attention to that one. Okay, edge spacing. What do you mean here? What do you think needs tweaking? I thought I did just tweak it correctly. um, how much? You're saying it needs to be further in from the edges? I think the top is fine. Um Edges and oh, okay. Yep. I'm on board with you. Let's give that a try. Oh wait. That doesn't look it did not like this. Oh, I have padding 0 for some reason. Wait, where did I have Oh, right here. Okay. Well, it seems like the padding left and right didn't really change much. Oh no. Padding leaves it as a blue bar. So let's not do it with padding. Let's not do it with padding. I don't want that left over. You know what I can do? I think this will be better. I mean, this is probably not better. This is probably a bad way of doing it, but we're just going to do width of 95 view width. And we'll do not really view width. Parent width? Is a p width a thing? Parent. How do I say 95% of the parent? Is that just 95%? Maybe. I don't know if that's this is probably not correct. I don't do CSS nearly often enough. Yeah, that did not work. It did over here. Oh, it's not okay. It's not centered aligned inside of its little thing there. Yeah, that's gross. What's holding P? It's not center aligning. The container that's holding P. This is a div of messages, so we can just quickly have that be a flexi and centered. Well, that's not what I meant. So we can just do kind of like let's see, display flex direction row, maybe not row. Let's do call. Maybe it doesn't matter since there's only a single item. Align item center. That might be what we're wanting. That wasn't what we wanted. That was not what we wanted. That did nothing to help. Now, did it get... Oh, it didn't get applied. Oh, I screwed it up. Messages. I screwed it up. All right, I think that's closer. I think that's closer. Yeah, that's looking better. Now we missed the bottom though. We missed the bottom. Well, when I was putting padding on P, it kept a box here. And so I was just not using padding, but you're probably right that I can do padding here and not have that problem. Let's delete this. Yeah, see, the padding keeps a box there. That's gross. So I don't like padding. Maybe I'm doing padding wrong. I don't know. But padding seems to when this goes away, leave an element there. Yeah, the parent is the background color because the parent goes with the null as well. So when you put padding, there's always space there. So I was trying. I figure this is not the right way, like not the canonically correct way of doing this, but for what I was trying to do, this seemed fairly the necessary way. We're going to say 90% to just get that off the bottom a little. I feel like that's what I always find myself in. I always find myself in the position where it's not canonically the correct way, but for some reason I feel like I'm forced to do that. The text needs to be a little lighter too. I got it off the edge, but not off the bottom. I need to put, I think I know how to fix this. 1 second though. Let's fix this color. It needs to be lighter. There we go. Okay, so we need to have a space at the bottom. It goes right up to the edge. How are we going to fix that? We could put in, I think maybe we just do, I thought we could just do this. Specifies the height of the content area. But that's not going to work because this just sucks up to it. We could make two different things. So what we could do is basically return a different one in here. So we could put padding on messages and then just not return this if I think maybe that's the right way to do it. Let's put padding on messages, but not return messages if so. If self.current message this. I think this is maybe the right way of doing this. So basically, if our actually, we already are doing this here. So let's just go ahead and put this up in here as well. We'll delete this altogether, and we just won't render anything. So now we can put padding on the holder messages because that goes away entirely on the re-render, I think. We'll just do one view height, see how this works. And that's on the whole div. All right. I've actually been kind of pleased with how stable it runs. All right. This looks good. Should have padding. Nice. Look at that. Got some padding. Nice. And it goes away completely when it's done. All right. I like that. I like that. What's padding auto mean? What does that do? What does that do? What does padding auto mean? All right. Well, let's do this. Let's do 1.5. Let's not do auto and do 1.5. Let's rerun this. How does that look to you? How does that look? Oh, the auto is used when you want to center things. Yeah. I think it's a little bit more at the top, but this is at least readable. This is at least readable. I almost think that we could make the text a little lighter. I didn't want it to be pure white, but yeah, I think it should be a little lighter. I probably need to actually get the value of this, but I think it could be a little lighter. Let me try to do that. Save that, run this. I've been really 100%. You mean that it is read now? It's still going to be smaller because when it's in OBS, it's just that box. So it might be that we need to make it bigger or whatnot. I've never seen somebody that's done what I've done where there's actually text that goes along with it. So I think my alerts need to actually be a bigger portion of the screen. I think that's another thing that I need to do. I just need to make that whole thing bigger because there's actually text that goes along with it. So yeah. I don't know why. After the last update, OBS and Firefox take forever to open on. It was actually a couple updates ago, but the last big update. Can I show you what it looks like via OBS? Yeah, actually, right here. We should be able to do it right here. This connects to the local host. So if we're saying that it takes up like this much of the screen, that should be connected now. I didn't check. Oh, you know what? It's probably at the wrong. It's at the wrong address. Yeah. What was our address here on this browser source? We are listening at 9090. That's right. We had to go to 9090. 9090. All right. I need to maybe round the corners a little bit. I don't think that will be too bad. Is it readable to you all, though? Does it need to be bigger? Oh, it did go away. I was like, oh, wait a second, it didn't go away. Why did it get rid of my rounded corners? Oh, it might just be that the corner radius needs to be bumped up. Oh, I can't easily. I don't have the Twitch toolkit, the Twitch toolkit and stuff on my Mac Mini. I can try to have that set up before I stream again, so that we can do it on the little Mac Mini. There's no way for me to. And like you have to have all these things. So this is the terminal for sending new ones. This is the one running the server. This is the one running the UI, and this is the one running the Twitch server. It's kind of a bit involved. Yeah, that's a little bit better rounded corners. Well, the black is the screen. So it would look somewhat like this. My screen is obviously a little bit bigger, but we'll give it a try. And worst case, worse, people at least got to read it. All right. So let's. That seems like we modified way too many things. Oh, okay. So I'm new to Wasm in general here, but I'm new to the front end too. So they copy the things over to this distribution. So basically, this is what gets distributed. You can even see in here, we tell it that we want our CSS and our image directory. So this is like copying the directory into here. So this is basically the thing that gets bundled. It's, I think, a little different than what I'm accustomed to. But that's why we have so many things changed, because it copied the CSS. So it deleted and recreated. Yeah. So we did modify this. The database would be modified because our test user got updated. It does make sense because the OBS wasn't quite full screen, and so yeah, we can make it a little bit larger. Again, honestly, it's weird because nobody else like, I don't have a good grounded thing. Everybody has just like X is a new subscriber, and so like I don't have a good basis for how large that should be. So maybe the thing is, we just it has to block more of the screen, and if it becomes too obtrusive, we can deal with it then. If it became too obtrusive, like, one thing that we could do is put the event there and tie into Twitch chat and post the story in chat. I feel like there's several things we could do there. Made event readable. Also, tweaking some of those things really shouldn't be hard on the Mac Mini if we want to tweak it just a little. Yeah. Cool. All right. I guess maybe I should pull that and start running it on the Mac Mini right now. That's a pain. I had to do some things to get it to run on the Mac Mini. So I don't know why, but if you look in... Actually, that's not a bad idea. I actually saw an interesting idea around that, where, if this is the alert here, you could make it full screen, and basically you just have it display across the bottom. And then let's say you have I just have a color source here. So you have like, this color source is going to represent my my screen. But effectively, what you do is you scale the screen in when you get an alert. So basically, when you get an alert, you scale the screen in like this. And then you scale it back down. Now, that requires integrating more with Twitch because we have to have like an event that fires in OBS. So I'm not going to do that just yet, but I think that's kind of a cool way, is like scale screen in. You know, and there's a little black on the sides because it actually, you know, if you just scale the screen in, and you could put like some color or something there. I don't know. I'm just not promising to have that in the next few weeks. That's more involved, but I think that's a cool thing that we could do, and maybe not stand. I don't like being standard, obviously. I've basically had a stream about how not to have a standard stream. Not popular. Uh, uh, no standard Twitch events. Why do it the easy way when you could do it the absolute hardest way? That's learning experience. Man, my computer does not like running OBS. Like, OBS is doing nothing, and look at the CPU usage. I can hear it. True, actually, the pop-up just appearing across the bottom might actually work too. You're right about that. Like, we don't even have to do anything more. Just have it pop up from the bottom. We could even do like a CSS transition where it pops up. That might not be too bad. I feel like you could do that animation just in CSS. Not doing it today, but check this out. Just running it. 60% CPU. This is horrifying. And look at that. This is why I stream from the Mac Mini. I don't know what it is with Linux, and I'm not even encoding anything out, because I was like, I think I actually use I don't have a way to use the GPU. That's another reason. There are ways to actually get your GPU. Honestly, if you want your GPU usage in here, the easiest way is to install OBS through Snap, because they have one with like the NVIDIA toolkit in it. But I'm not encoding anything, and it's just killing my CPU, and I don't have a bad CPU. Anyways, so I'm gonna close this. Oh. Also, if you go back to Viet, I like this. You mean kind of looks like this here? Like this slides up? This slides up, and then it's like, Russell was walking through the forest when a mighty beast of unknown origin attacked. Sorry, it's Russ I'm not going to mispronounce your name. So we're just going to say, are you? Nope, not gonna do it. No, I'm not. RU was walking through the the wood. All right. I like that. That would be super cool looking. Just pop up from the bottom and then like just lower back down. And like this, okay, this is cool. But like have this here where it's like the stream name or something. Ooh, that is good. Um, we're gonna have to work on that. That's more like unfortunately this is all just CSS, I think, because I think like you can do CSS animations that is gonna do like 90% of this, and my CSS, as you've seen, is pretty lacking. So I think like this would just take me a long time, so we're not gonna work on that today, but I love this idea. The typing is going to be interesting. I'm going to have to look to see if anybody's done like a typing animation. It's probably just done. Typewriter effect. Oh my gosh. So this is probably easy if I knew what I was doing. Now, what I fear is it's going to be easy if I wasn't using Wasm, but all right. Well, maybe we'll start to add this in. Next week. Next week. Cool. I really like that. I really like that idea. All right. All right. I had wanted to do a little bit of thank you. Thank you Russell for the idea. I think that's fantastic. I think that's pretty awesome. I think that's pretty fantastic. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm out of coffee. I'm going to go take a break. We got some pretty cool stuff done. I'm going to go grab a new cup of coffee. So let me get my classic be right back. And then and then I'm going to work on the null cloud Eddington a little bit. We're going to actually work through some architecture. There's some people that are wanting to join and help out. And that's cool. But that means I have to also be a little bit more organized with what I want, what needs to be done. So we're going to draw some architecture stuff out to get started. And then we're going to get some GitHub Actions maybe, because I need to build some containers for the stuff. We have a dev experience kind of set up. We'll work on the dev experience a little maybe as well, just to make sure it's as easy as possible. And start filling out some of those things. There's like an end goal that I could tell you in like 2 years, because we have to like manage machines and things like that in the end. But But that's all in the very end. So like for the MVP, we're taking a very very light approach. We're only doing what we have to, and what we don't have to we'll leverage other things for. And maybe it means we leverage them for a little while and then we throw them away and use something else. Maybe it means that we yeah. Yeah. So anyways, no, I don't think I would even want this to be bought by AWS, Azure, or Google. Because part of it is there's no real good open source cloud. You can talk about OpenStack, but like I said, there's no real good open source cloud. And the other thing is the thing is, I want this to also work on the other clouds. So, one thing that people try to do is, do multi-cloud. And multi-cloud is hard because each cloud is kind of different. And then you try to do these abstractions on top. You have these leaky abstractions like Kubernetes on top of a leaky abstraction like the cloud's implementation of Kubernetes. Um, and then you're also at the mercy of, well, now I can't use their managed queues and their managed XYZ because, all their managed services aren't in their Kubernetes space. So you can't use Azure's event system or, Kinesis on AWS or those types of things because you've locked yourselves out by standardizing, which is what you need to do. So I think it would actually be a shame to be bought by any one of those companies. um you know Cloudflare would hurt me. Cloudflare would hurt me. You know me too well. Cloudflare would hurt me. I'd have to think on that one. I'd have to think on that one. Don't hold anything I say right now on that one right there. Oh, crap. I really think Cloudflare would take it to the next level. It would be right for the users. That's what I would argue. That's what all the big execs argue. They're like, "Oh, this is the right thing for the users. It's good for you." Uh, um. So, I guess that's kind of my thing. Is for it to be what it is, it kind of needs to be somewhat independent. I don't know. I'm not saying that it couldn't partner with somebody like Cloudflare. I can't see that far in the future. I think for it to be as, yeah, I don't know. But no, in general, it should just be its own independent thing, I think. That would be the coolest thing is if it could be its own independent thing and have enough funding to continue being its own independent thing. But we'll see. We'll see where it goes to. I plan on hopefully getting July self-hosting. Dude, that's what I would love is if some places would just sponsor me and then I could work on it full time and I could also like if they wanted like I'm going to say special treatment but like hey, make sure that it works on Cloudflare. Oh, okay. I can do that. Or like yeah. I don't know. I know that's special treatment, but I don't mean special treatment as like I don't know. Just yeah, make sure it works on their cloud. I think that would be reasonable. Or honestly, it would be like if Azure, if Azure wanted to be able to have like a null cloud that is run by Azure, so like Azure wants to run it as the Eddington as a service. I think that would be amazing. And if they wanted to sponsor me to help make sure that it worked well on Azure, that would be like the super coolest thing where it's like, yeah, actually, all the clouds implement an Eddington. So Eddington is just the name of the project because I suck at naming projects. Null Cloud is like my self hosted one, but whatever. If they were like, yeah, let's just make sure it runs on ours and you can just deploy it on ours and you can have multi cloud immediately, that would be the coolest thing. Yes. Yes. Uh, Okay, we both suck at naming. You suck less at naming than I do. But anyways, I'm going to go make a cup of coffee. Then we're going to work on some Eddington architecture. If you guys don't know who Eddington is, you should look him up. Pretty cool guy. I actually don't know that much about him as a person. A lot of really brilliant people are kind of turds, so he might have been a turd. Don't really know. But he did some work which I think was overshadowed by the fact that Einstein was alive at the same time. Um, you know, it's like being a swimmer during the age of Michael Phelps. You could be really good and it still sucked. So, so yeah. Anyways, that's the whole reason that the Eddington number. If you guys don't know what that is, it's go look it up while we're taking a break. Anyhow, I'm gonna take a break, make a cup of coffee. It takes me about 10 minutes to make a cup of coffee, 15 minutes because my children are going to interrupt me while making a cup of coffee. So I'll be right back in about 15 minutes. And you guys have a wonderful break yourselves. Lurkers. Absolutely hate lurkers. Lurkers are the worst. Are they there? Are they not there? I'm just teasing. Just teasing. All right. Let's talk Eddington. All right. All right. All right. Let's see. So I'm going to give kind of a high level of, I'm going to say end goal, but not really end goal, but like high level of in a year or two, some of the things I'd like to have accomplished. Or that goes into a cloud. So the goal is we want to make our own cloud, but we want to take the smallest amounts. We want to work on certain things at a certain times, and bring value. And we're looking to actually, it's an arbitrary release date. We're going to try to have something released by the end of July. Now, whether we do or not, that's up to the thing. But I like having times where it's like, yeah, let's release something. If it's garbage, it's garbage. We're gonna have something that people can run. That's the idea. That's the idea, at least. We don't have any stress or pressure. Yeah. So when you're looking at a cloud, you kind of have three layers to a cloud provider. We're just gonna draw these out like this. That you have. So this is the physical. That's way too small. Come on. Font size is very... Okay, we're just not zoomed in. If font size is very large, we need to zoom in more. Okay, so we need to make all of these smaller. All right. So you have the physical. So these are like machines and things like that. Then you have, I'm going to say physical management. So you have physical, where you're talking about we need to build a rack of servers. They need to have cables that are connecting them. They need to have routers that can route them, and they need to have physical IP addresses on each of their NICs. They have all of those types of things. Then we need the physical management. That physical machine needs to run some piece of software, whether that's a hypervisor, whether that's, getting patched, whether that's, their routing schemes and their IP tables and all of the OS management that needs to happen. And then you have the final layer, which is services provided. Services. So these are the layers of a cloud provider. Let's just maybe make that a thing here. And this is true for no matter what type of cloud provider. If you're talking about getting a VM that has the physical. There is a physical machine that's running that. There is management of that physical layer, and there is the service that provides it through these stacks. All right, but we want this is all a lot of work. All of these pieces require a bit of work, a bit of finessing, and they're not all straightforward. Like, they all seem easy. You could talk about physical management. You could have a person go in and update the machine. You could do apt update if you're on, Ubuntu, or you could do yay update if you're on, or a-syu if you're on Arch. All of this becomes fairly easy if you just have an individual do it on a single machine. The problem becomes scaling quickly becomes a problem. And we're not even talking about scaling to great numbers of machines. If we have 10 physical machines, keeping them all up to date and making sure there's no skew becomes a hard problem. You're talking about like a full-time job for a single person just to keep up with 10 machines. And that doesn't even talk about provisioning of VMs and things like that. Are you classing the customer portal as part of services? Yes, I was. I guess we could call it a fourth layer. I'm actually planning on making YouTube videos of a lot of this content. I'm not going to make them from the stream. I'm going to actually make them a little bit more informative. But these are good questions to be asking because it will go into how I make a YouTube video out of it. So for the services, this is a good distinction. Maybe we'll make it two things. But I'll put them at the same level. You have your services and yeah, maybe keeping them as one and then just like clarifying, like you have your services and this includes your customer portal. Okay. No, those are really good questions because those are things that I would like to make sure are clear, that are part of it. So for the null cloud, this is a lot to all handle at once. And so the idea is we're not going to handle it all at once. The first thing that we're going to work on is this right here, these services. And the way we're going to do that is kind of a unique way, leveraging Kubernetes. And then we can actually run that up through our stack. So eventually we need to manage the physical, manage the, and actually eventually have physical. But what we're going to do is a top-down approach. We're going to start here, and then we're going to go here, and then maybe eventually go here if people like it. So what we're going to do is for this services, we're going to do this. Let's draw a little arrow here. We're going to do this using Kubernetes. Now, we'll get more into the architecture of our Kubernetes clusters in a moment. But the cool thing that we're going to be able to do here is we're going to run our customer portal, all of these services, and we're going to make everything that runs here a service in Kubernetes. And what this is allowing us to do is we can pretty much run this thing, this open source project, currently called Eddington, code name Eddington, on any conformant K8s cluster. So this means that all these services should be able to run in a Kubernetes cluster. That means if you want to run this on an Azure Kubernetes cluster, you should be able to. Now, there's going to be configuring the Kubernetes cluster to run because there's a lot of things that Eddington needs. It needs storage, it needs these types of things. So it doesn't mean that out of the box it's just going to work on your Kubernetes cluster, because it's going to need some things set up for it, and it's going to need that Kubernetes cluster configured in a way. But that doesn't mean that we can't standardize and make Helm charts or deployment files for whatever cloud provider, whatever Kubernetes cluster we want. So that's pretty cool. And that's going to provide all these services. When we're talking about physical management, I actually would like to do this in, maybe this isn't as unique as I would like to think it is. But the way we're going to manage these is via basically an immutable OS. If you guys have ever heard of BottleRocket, we're not going to use BottleRocket, but it's kind of like BottleRocket. It's a basically how it does an OS update is it partitions the hard disk. So you have part 1, and then you'll have part 2. And basically it installs the update to part 2, and then it just does a reboot into partition 2, and then it deletes partition 1. As soon as it comes up and has been certified that it's working. So you can have like tests and stuff to make sure it's working. And then basically it will, if part 2 doesn't boot cleanly, it falls back to partition 1, which was originally working. And if it is working, it stays in partition 2 and continues on. And then eventually this gets cleaned up. I think this probably gets cleaned up the next partition. So when you go to your update. So we're going to manage our infrastructure, our physical management, like BottleRocket. Let's do this like BottleRocket. Now, what I would actually like to see this happen is BottleRocket, but Legion and Aura. There's a lot of reasons why I think this would be an amazing combination. Isto no. Isto no, I like that one. Oh. Chief T-shirt maker. But this is basically a thing for another time. What this needs to provide is physical management and a Kubernetes cluster. So let's make this its own little box here. You know what we're going to do? We're going to make this shove all of its text over to the side, and we're going to make this box over here. Provides physical server updates and networking, ECT, physical server updates, clustering, and basically what this can do is provide Kubernetes as a service. If you remember, this layer just needs a Kubernetes. And Kate's as a service. We'll do Kate'sa. Yeah, so basically, if this can provide Kubernetes on top of it, and providing that update mechanism to the thing, and the ability to run workloads, which is what would provide Kubernetes as a service on top of this. Probably Kubernetes as a service would be something on top of Legion, but we're splitting hairs. There's a lot of components that goes into this. Legion and Aura would be one part of the problem. Probably something that runs on top of Legion and Aura that provides Casas. That Eddington then can run on top of. In fact, if Eddington eventually wanted to provide a Kubernetes as a service, it's already built in. It's already there. It would just leverage the things below it. And then you have your physical, your physical down here, like your pure physical. And this is going to include, quite a bit of stuff. But this is like the last step that we have to take, because there's actually some cool services that will give us bare metal machines. So my goal is to basically do these like this. Sequence. I don't know how to spell sequence. It's a stupid word. All right. Basically, we could do these things like this because there are bare metal as a service. So we can actually do this without actually owning our own physical hardware, without actually managing our own physical hardware, without having our own data centers, without co-locating. We can do all of that. This you can, it's talking about buying. Buying and managing hardware. That's way down the road. And eventually, maybe. But we can do these two things without that eventually, which is pretty awesome. Pretty awesome. Nighthound, you just need to start deploying everything. That's how you do it. You just start deploying everything. Plugging in cables. Buying data centers. Obviously, you usually rent those and have other people that do that, but whatever. This is the sequence that we're going to take. So let's focus now on this. The thing that we can, the piece of the puzzle that we can start working on now that's pretty easy. And I think actually brings a lot of the value. Again, if this can run in any conformant K8s cluster that's properly configured for it, then I think that actually brings a lot of value to people and gives us a starting point. Also, it means that when we go to run it ourselves, whether I run it in my home lab here, or I think actually production, I'm going to pick a service, a service provider, just because of like my home lab doesn't have the internet, and I don't want to co-locate my little stupid home lab. The expense just wouldn't be worth it for the hardware that I have there, because co-locating my stupid hardware costs the same price as like an actual server. Yeah, it's kind of silly, but it has to do with space and whatnot. So I think what will happen for our beta will be on my home lab, and our production will actually be in a cloud, because initially production will just be Eddington, basically as a service that's hosted in a public cloud. Which public cloud that will be, not sure. Probably whichever one I can do cheapest, since this is just money out of my pocket. So let's break down what Eddington is. Going to be at the end of July. What it's going to be at the end of July. Because there's a lot that we could do, but let's start with July goals. We want a service you can log into. A service that, I'm going to not say a service before everything. A service that you can log into lets you deploy a container. Deploy any container, any pre-built container, no. It should be, if it has a Docker file, any Docker file or pre-built container. I feel like if it's a pre-built container, that's also okay. Built container. Is that not how you spell pre-built? Rebuilt. Is pre-built not a word? Is pre-built not a word? I think it's a word. I think it's a word. You've heard it here first. Pre-built is a word. Don't trust those other people on English. All right. Let's you deploy a Node application without a Docker file. I think this is a cool feature. With just a Git repo. Initially, just a GitHub repo. This is July goals. We're just supporting GitHub. Or that's all I'm shooting for. If we get more done, woohoo. All right. And then exposes that container via a unique URL. I think this is it. Isn't build packs supposed to the second problem? Okay, so for this one, for the GitHub, it is limited to Node initially. This is just initially. It's related Node.js. Maybe that was the confusing Node.js. We will build you a Node.js container behind the scenes. So basically, it's the exact same as this, except that we're going to say we know how to build a Node.js container. And if you don't know how to do a container, you're just learning, that's fine. We can host it for you. It's going to be in a container, and that's fine. Some stretch goals that I would like, but I think this is a pretty stretch goal. I think this is like a good August, September goal, is expose logs in UI. I think this is a stretch goal, but you should get logs from your container if you want them. Just from Node. I'd like to do it where it's actually like a minimal container, like a nicely done container. Like, honestly, this should be like, people should want to use this even if they know how to make a container, because we're going to make a better container than most people do. We're going to run security scans on it. We're going to, package in the things that need to be packaged and nothing else. And we're going to, like, my end goal is, even if you're doing like a Go application, we want to use their building because it's just that good and they make that good of an image. Now, obviously, you're going to have the people that want to run their own image for whatever reason. They're doing something fancy with like their init, and they want to run their own init container or pause container. I get it. This is just going to be a general purpose ease. There's going to be people that want to do this, and that's fine, and that should be supported 100%. And, maybe in July, this will just be from Node. That's fine, too. Like, it doesn't need to be perfect at the beginning. Let's do stretch goals down here. Down here, we want to expose the logs in the UI. And again, this is July goals, not end of the road goals. Because, again, this should be any application. Should be any in future. And I say any. Obviously, within reason, we'll add them as we can. This sounds like Slim AI. I don't know what Slim AI is. Hey, basically, you should get Slim AI by deploying here. I don't think, if I can provide you a security thing, I don't think you should pay for it, because I think this is what cloud should do, is you shouldn't pay for security. It's like what I don't believe yet you should pay for safety features in cars. I think that should be illegal. If your company has a safety feature, it needs to be included in the car. I think that's how it should go. If you have a security feature in a cloud, you shouldn't pay for it. Now, obviously, things like WAFs have a cost. And so I understand paying for the cost, just the flat cost that it costs me. And so if there's something that has an ongoing cost, like a WAF that protects you from DDoS and things like that, I understand charging for those types of things. But if you're talking about scanning your container and some of those things, I think that they shouldn't be charged, because there isn't a cost, or a very minimal cost. It costs me a quarter of a penny to scan your image, or to just build you a really good image. If it's costing me a quarter of a penny, it just comes with the service that you get. So, if there's no ongoing cost, I'll just absorb that. It should be secure by default. As secure as we can provide. Okay. So, these are the high-level goals. Now, let's talk about what that actually means. I'm going to actually put that in a box. We're going to talk about what that really means, because we need some components. And this is where you come in, Nighthound. Because you have offered to help some, and I'm going to so take you up on that if you are actually really wanting to help out on this. So, what... Because this isn't a whole lot of things, but it means that we have quite a few inner working things that need to happen. To make this all work. All right. So, one, we need a UI. We already have a UI started on. It's pretty fantastic. Actually, let me pull up our... I cannot take credit for this. Some people in the community did this, which just is fantastic. We have some Figma. It's not exactly what we have in the code at this point, but it is pretty close. And it's pretty fantastic. I'm just excited about this. So this is our UI at this point. So basically, as you can see, you can do like a Docker file or a node. Actually, this is like a Docker container. We probably need an also Docker file and a node application, login. So we have a UI, but basically we need that. We need a UI, and that's in the works, which is fantastic. Right now, if we're talking about that, this is in a Vue. Something I haven't really worked in quite yet. Something that's going to make Russell really excited. It's also using Tailwind, because we wanted to be cool. And the people that are doing a lot of the work on it are Tailwind people. And you know what? If you're doing a lot of the work, you get to make the decisions on what tech is nice for you. So that's awesome. We'll move on, because Russell just threw up a little bit. So let's move on to the other things that we need. Now, if we're dissecting this, we actually have to watch a GitHub. So basically, where this gets tricky is we need a GitHub component. Git/GitHub watcher. So wait, Russell, you finally deployed your new theme to your blog and it uses Tailwind. Can we see this, please? And yeah, I don't know where Monta is, because this is being led up by Monta. So we'll put this up there, especially because if you want to get into it, Basically, what I'm going to do is there's basically going to be division leaders that are leading these things. I'm definitely not one of these people, and so that will never be my name. Let's see what this looks like. Russell has a blog in Tailwind. I don't know if I believe that it's in Tailwind. I don't believe that it's in Tailwind. Actually, we can inspect it and see, right? Oh, look at that. It is in Tailwind. My goodness. My goodness, it's in Tailwind. How much did this hurt you, Russell? How much, like, morally? Ooh. It looks pretty good, though. I like it. I like how the code looks, too. Oh, and it has a nice copy? This looks nice, Russell. Not that I'm surprised. You're more of a front-end developer than I. Look, if I did it, it would look like garbage. Let's be honest. This looks good. I like the, like, highlight around, like, this little, like, neon highlight. That's nice. You're not converted? You know what? I'm not converted either. But if there's people that love it and are working on it, more power to them. All right. This is a GitHub Watcher. And what this is basically up here. Let's actually make these out in like bulleted points, so I can have multi-line here. So should be able to track and auto update based on branch or tag. Tag is maybe a stretch goal. Yeah, generally, I don't like Ruby. I don't like Ruby in production. I'll give you my opinions on why I don't like Ruby or Python in production. But, yeah. I also respect the fact that there are people that like... I don't respect the fact that people like... but I will respect to a certain amount. Yeah, and they really like Tailwind. I'm torn on Tailwind. I think some of it looks gross. I also see some of the pull to it. So like I am torn on Tailwind. I think that if I used it a lot, I could actually like it eventually. But yeah, okay. So the GitHub Watcher, what we need to have happen with this, it needs to watch for updates to a Git repo. So basically, if they deploy this Node.js application here, and they integrate it into our application, let's look at the Figma board here. So when they deploy this Node.js, I don't think we actually have a board for this, but when they select this Node application, they're going to have to set a branch. They're going to have to give us a public repo. Oh, that's actually another good thing to state here. We're only supporting public repos. Only public repos for July. Private repos should be supported eventually. All right. So, we need to watch for updates on the repo. And then, needs to call appropriate update service to update deployment. So we basically just need to deploy if an update has been made to a repo. So that's one component that needs to happen. And this is the one that DVD. He wanted a component to work on. I don't have plans on working on this until later in July. So if somebody wants to pick this up, it's open for people to help on. Most likely this is going to be Go. There is a toolkit that already does this. So if you search for the GitOps toolkit, I can actually pull that link up right here. I'm going to actually drop this into... Anyways, the GitOps toolkit has a bunch of stuff. It's probably best if we base this work on this. Let's do that here. Base our work on... And basically we should look to wrap this. Wrap this. This source controller. And it should be a service that runs in Kubernetes, obviously. And this is going to be in Go. Effectively, actually, let me redo this. Effectively, everything's in Go unless stated otherwise. Everything in Go unless stated otherwise. Yeah. Obviously, this is Vue.js. It's in TypeScript. We'll just make that a... All right. What else do we need? This is something that possibly... Nighthound, you had asked about working on something. This is something you could work on if you wanted to. So, or anybody. Everybody's welcome to work on anything if they want to. I wanted to just explain the bits and pieces as we were going. Because I need to get this in documentation. So if other people are looking, this is like a start of an architectural diagram. All right. So we have a way to watch a Git repo. But now we need to build a container from this. And you were asking if BuildPack was a way to solve this. There are a couple ways. We'll get into this, but we need to have a service that builds a container. So if the container is not pre-built in the Node.js, we need to actually build a container. So there's a couple things that go into this. Service that can build a container given a Git repo. Now, this has some questions to it. Let's do a dash in here. Does the Git repo get attached to service? Like, so we could attach some storage that already had the Git repo pooled, or does the service pool the repo? I don't know. I don't know. This is an open question we need to figure out. B, the service needs to push the image to a container registry. Another open question here. What registry? Eventually, we should host our own Harbor. I think Harbor would be the best way because Harbor allows us to do scans and things like that on these images that we push. And I think it would be the best way to go. Harbor is hard to deploy. So there's options out there, but we need to do a little investigation. I think maybe the simplest thing here is you can actually use S3, I believe. I think you can actually use S3 or an S3 compatible service. So I'm going to say maybe initially, and that's going to also be the cheapest, I believe, initially. We use S3. It does not going to provide us the scanning. It's not going to provide us those types of things, but it's going to provide us a way to get going in July. Otherwise, I think if we tried to go down the path of Harbor and hosting that initially, because we can export the container as an archive, I'm not sure that's correct. What do you not think is correct? Which part? I made several assumptions there. Being able to store contain. I will point you to this. There is an S3 storage driver. I haven't used it, so I don't know if this is correct or not, but there is an S3 storage driver. I saw a blog or two on it about using S3 as a storage backend. And I actually know a team that maybe I work with or not that does this. I can send this in chat. Now, maybe it's not easy, and it is supposed to be a stopgap. And by that, I mean, if it's going to be a lot of work, then we shouldn't do it. Then we just shouldn't do it. Because it's designed to be easy. I think eventually we want to do something like there's Dragonfly, there's, I can name some. Harbor is the one that I really liked. There's Dragonfly, there's the one from Netflix released their own, I believe. Let's do this. CNCF landscape. Let's see. Container registry. So yeah, there's Dragonfly, there's Harbor, and there is the one from Netflix, Kraken. Or no, Uber. Sorry, Uber. Portis is actually archived. Quay, maybe. So maybe Quay. So Quay, Kraken, Harbor, and Dragonfly. Dragonfly and Kraken take a P2P. I don't know that we necessarily want to do that. And the only reason I say that is we actually want our container registry to be separate because we don't want it running on the same services that our customers' things are running on. So the P2P doesn't really help us there. These are interesting if you're running them yourselves. So really, I think it comes down to Quay or Harbor. And in that case, I think Harbor is really, really good. So, yeah. But Harbor is a beast of itself to manage. They want, if you watch their getting started, it's not on Kubernetes. And the reason it's not on Kubernetes is they want a Postgres server. They want direct access to the file system. So you can run it in Kubernetes. And they have a high availability one that uses Kubernetes. But it's a lot to set up. Maybe we want to do it. So I'll leave this up to you to research a little if you like. Again, I'm not assigning anything, but if you're wanting to, these are some of the questions I haven't asked. Easy enough to set up ourselves? Maybe. What I want to do is I want to make it, I want to do whatever's easiest. Whatever we can do easiest. If that's using the ECR, is it ECR? If it's using ECR in AWS, it's using ECR in AWS. We could also make that call. We need to switch to our own eventually, but that's not necessarily for July. We don't have to. All right. Okay. So this is I'll put Nighthound. I'm sure you're open for other people to help. Everything's open for people to help. I'm not going to put that on everything. I'm not going to put that on everything because everything is. Okay, so I'm putting people that maybe know the most about what we've done so far. So if you would like to help on it, this is the name in Discord to at. Or if you're looking for a pull request, you can put my name. You could put Russell's on every single one. Get him to review every single one. He's a great reviewer. And I like annoying him, so put his on everyone. And Monta. Although this is not Monta's. This is his Twitch name. 1 second. I'm going to put his Discord name. Okay, cool. All right, we have more components, though. We have a monolith. And I'm doing a monolith because we already have, these are all services already. We already have a ton of microservices, and there could be more microservices that I'm compiling into a monolith to keep it simple. Now, this monolith is broken up logically. But yeah. Oh, actually, one other thing in here that this needs to do. A, B, C, D is we need needs to event when container is built. Now, I'm not planning on providing a event system for our customers just yet, but an internal event system should be available. Everyone with Tailwind will fail the review. Russell will get his revenge. What is 3C? 3C. Oh, I don't know why. Yeah. I don't know why I skipped C. Sorry. All right, so we're probably using Nats.io. I think that's what it is. It's as easy as ABD. English. It's my first and worst language. It's my only language, too. Question about the container building service. Do we want each user's containers to run in its own namespace? It seems to be the logical answer. Yes, but that's not part of this building service. So this building service, let's actually do D. Russell's review of my documentation is rough, but fair. Let's get to D. You know what? I'm going to zoom up on this portion at this point. All right. let's get to D here. So should store container name as something like this. Customer ID. Get repo name Shaw. So the get Shaw should be here, right here. We also need to go and clean up. So basically, we want to only store A, B, C, D, E. Only want to store last 3 containers. That will be a stretch goal. So we want to clean up. The building service doesn't run the containers. Nope. It just builds the container images and stores it, and then fires off an event that it built the container. 100%, that's all it does. And you know what? Maybe we make this synchronous. And so we don't even have to worry about an event. Maybe the call to build the service is synchronous, and we just wait on a reply that says the service has built the container. Maybe this is a stretch goal. We can talk about that. Maybe. Gosh. That's also possible. Maybe we run everything synchronous for now, and through gRPC, and make that a stretch goal. Not sure. Some of these things will, and this is kind of why I like the July, like putting an end of July deadline, is because it makes us think about some of these things and just say, we don't need to do everything initially. We can make some technical debt, some things, get something out there and see how people like it. See how it runs. Let's see how it runs. And because we're going to make updates, and we're going to be like, oh, there actually needs to be this message and whatnot. So, yeah. All right. So another service. Where are we at now? Let's see. We can log in. Okay. So log in. We're doing it through Ori. Initially, we're gonna self-host Ori. Let's write this down. It's not even a stretch goal. We're not self-hosting Ori. What I would love to do, though, is provide Ori as a service. Basically, I'd like to make it as easy as possible to write your application with service. So we will be running Ori ourselves eventually, but right now we're not going to self-host Ori. We're just going to use, it's called the Ori Network. Ori Network. And the cool thing about this is the open source Ori and the Ori Network have the same API. So we should be able to not only leverage Ori Network for our authentication, but when we run it locally for other people, it will be the exact same, which will be super powerful. Eventually in the future, if this actually becomes a big deal and people are using our thing, I'd love to partner with Ori. I think that would be really cool if we got to a place where like the Null Cloud could partner with Ori to provide authentication in our thing, and kind of help another open source project that's doing really cool things. For right now, we'll just do it ourselves. Okay. Other thing up here that we're doing. Let's see. So we have the last thing that we really need is the thing that actually runs it. we actually have two things. The container runner and the API service. Let's talk about these. Okay, so this thing needs to. This actually is probably one of the more complicated parts. I'll put my name on here. I'll put my name on here too, but this is going to be Merrick and at GNOME Overflow. If anybody else wants to own Ori, I hate authentication and authorization with a passion. With a passion. So if somebody else wants to own it, I am happy to give you keys to the kingdom. We have a free account. And I'm happy to give you the keys to the kingdom if I know you. If I don't know you and you just joined, I'm not going to. But, all right. So this container runner, what is it going to do? It's going to take an image, run it in a namespace, in customer namespace. So how this is set up, and this is something the API service is going to do. I told you that this was kind of a monolith for right now, and these go hand in hand. That's why I thought I would do this. This actually has the user service. That's part of it, and so each thing that should be its own service, I'm going to put as a thing here, because the user service should be its own service eventually, but we're making them all as one. And if you look at the code, we can look at the code. I'm trying to actually break these apart into microservices that run as a monolith. So if you go into Eddington and look at this, you can look at the API and you can look here. The user's controllers are in their own separate package in here. And when you create this, the user controller, it's a struct that contains its own database. So the user controller wants its own database, and it creates its own database. So a lot of people would be like, oh, dependency injection, you should inject your database here. And I went without that. And the reason I did that was you can't share the user database with another controller database. It's its own database. Now, there's maybe a better way to do this with some dependency injection that ensures that that it's not a shared database. But I think that's really key when you're making this monolith that you might want to break up in the future, is making sure that you don't share databases. I think that's like the biggest problem, is then splitting up those databases. And yeah, anyways, so we'll and then it has its own models here, its own database models, and it registers all of its controllers with that function, and so that's how we're doing it. Okay, so the API service has the user service, and in the user service, we need to create a new user, and in that, what do we do this far in? We're going to go back to 1. Okay. In create a new user, it's going to create a namespace for that user. It's going to create Istio. Now, maybe some other service interacts with Kubernetes in the future. For right now, again, we're building this all here. Create Istio network policies to limit namespace to itself. So basically what's going to happen here is that something deployed in this namespace cannot talk to anything except what's deployed in that namespace. So if you deploy 2 services, they should be able to talk to each other. But that's it. Only things inside that namespace. So that's what a create new user should do. There's more things, but this is safety one. The other thing that's going to create, and this is just inherently there, we're running in gvisor. So all of these clusters are running with gvisor, which is protecting memory and CPU. But that's not something that's really, that's just how you configure your machines. That's not configured here. It's not like you do anything. gvisor is just running on that. So yeah. Okay, so that's create a new user. The container runner is going to take an image and run that in that customer's namespace. The other thing that it needs to do is it needs to create, or maybe not create, but update Istio virtual service gateway to expose application. And now here comes an interesting question. I actually think that we need to then, ABD, we'll definitely go to D here. We need to update user service with route to new service. So obviously this route exists in the Istio, but I don't like using Kubernetes as a database. Obviously, Kubernetes is effectively just a database with an API. I get that. But what I don't want to do is to get this route, have to query your etcd cluster. That's a great way to destroy your etcd cluster really quickly. So basically, while we'll create it here, we're going to update the user service with its location, with its route, its custom route. So we'll need here in the user service, we'll need an update user. That's just going to update their stuff. Also in here, is this part of the user service or is this part of the application service? I think it's actually part of the application service. I don't think the spacing's done right. 1 second. 1, 2. Okay. A, B, the app service. So the app service is the API that hits the container runner. So the container runner sits back there. This is the thing that interfaces with it. We have create new app. Delete. You know what? I'm not going to list all these out. I'm going to say CRUD. CRUD app. Get app details. Okay. All right, now let's check what we have up here. Does that have everything? I think the answer is yes. I think we're going to need some more APIs. I very loosely, I'll update this to CRUD user. Update app service. All right, what am I missing? Tell me. Actually, maybe an ad's playing. Okay, I'm gonna wait to ask this question until until that's done, I'll look at Discord. Somebody sent me something in Discord. Oh, nice. Let's get David, let's see. All right. So I think DVD should be joining. Classic technology. Okay, so what have I missed here? What have I missed? Does this cover everything we need to hit these goals? I want to say yes. And it's super simple and super basic. I get it. But that's the whole point of keeping it super simple. There's a bunch of us that are maybe even working at night. So we'll have a way for the UI to pull this URL. Hey, that's a good point. Another question. After the image is built, I would say that it's stored in the app service. Like an app has what image, like in this app service, we have details on app, details about the app. And in those details, we're going to store, last current image, last previous image, image URL, not image URL, but app URL, like the location it's actually at. So I guess this is all part of this right here. Why can't I? There we go. So the current image, the previous image, the app URL. Oh, hey, hey, DVD. Cool. Thanks for pointing that out. Okay, so DVD, since you just joined, I'm going to go over a little bit of this. So this is kind of the goals, and then these are the components. We broke it up into about 6 components. This API service is a little bit of a monolith, and that's mainly because we already have too many services that are supposed to be broken out. Yes. Now, Nighthound, I didn't actually clarify whether we updated this based off of a event or just a message call. Well, thanks. You obviously haven't watched like the last few videos on my YouTube channel. Calling yourself out there. You're not a Rust fan. I get it. But you're not a Rust fan because you haven't watched my videos. Have you thought about that? I didn't even try to pronounce it. I'm kind of hoping he doesn't follow so I don't have to pronounce it. But don't follow. Don't follow DVD until next stream because I have to update the Mac Mini with the work that we've done so that you get a really cool AI-powered Twitch follow. So don't follow yet. Oh, I get it. Oh no, you just followed. You can't read it though. You can see it's up here and it has some really cool AI powered stuff, but you can't see the AI powered stuff because somebody made it. Wait, white background, quick. There we go. Oh, now it's really small still. See, I'll read the words to you. I'll read the words. We did this on stream. We did fix it though. It is fixed. It's just not fixed yet. Or it's just not on the Mac Mini yet. Here we go. In the depth of the forest, a band of adventurers stumbled upon a hidden grove. There they found Zypherless, a druid of great power and wisdom. Impressed by the adventurer's bravery and determination, Zypherolus pledged to join their cause. With their new ally by their side, the adventurers set out to face even greater challenges, knowing that they could count on Zypherolus' magic to aid them in their quest. Everybody gets their own personalized AI message for following and subscribing. Zephyr Hills. I mispronounced it in my reading of it. But unfortunately right now, it's impossible to read. So I apologize that, you know what? Next stream, so tomorrow's stream where I go over the news for the cloud and everything, it will be updated because I already updated the code. I already pushed it. I just haven't updated on the Mac. All right. Let's go over our my July goals, what I'm trying to get done. So you can log in, you can deploy a Docker file or a pre-built container. You can deploy a Node.js application without a Docker file with just GitHub. So basically you give it the link to your GitHub and the branch or tag that you want to build, and it should build that for you, and it should follow that. And only public repos for July. I don't want to deal with private repos and dealing with storing those types of things. So that's going to have to be another thing. I know how to do it. It's just a lot of work. And then it exposes that container via a unique URL, something that has your name in it, your customer ID in it. And then the stretch goals is going to be exposing the logs in the UI, which we didn't even design out here. So we'll have to do that if we have time. So basically, I took all these goals and I made them into components. And so we're doing a mono repo for right now to keep everything contained. If there's a lot of people using this, right now, this sits in my GitHub null channel repo. So Eddington is it. But if there's a lot of people that want to work on this, we'll move it out of the null channel and it will be its own thing. We'll move it out of the null channel and we'll move Eddington into its own, either the null cloud because it's a component that's in the null cloud, or we'll move it. We'll probably just make a null cloud one. You want to see what AI makes of this? Wait. Are you saying take these specs and put it into ChatGPT? We can try that. We can try that for sure. Okay, we'll try that in a second. I want to go over this for DVD since he just joined. So basically this is breaking down, and at the, there's a dash and a name. This is the name on Discord. If you want to get involved, you should contact this person. Now, I put question marks behind this because you two haven't necessarily signed up to do these things yet, so I'm not necessarily signing you up. It's a question mark. It's fine if you don't want to do it. If you want to do it, great. Happy to have you help. So this is your Discord name. This is just my real name. I don't know what my Discord name is. I think my Discord name is Merrick Counts. I don't know. They made me change it. I thought it was Clavinex like it normally was, but now it shows up as Merrick Counts. So, I don't know if it's Merrick Counts or Clavinex. Not really sure. It's Merrick. Okay, cool. Okay. So it's Merrick or Mark if you're European. That's what they call me. I think Merrick is a Polish name. So they're probably actually pronouncing it correctly, and I'm doing horrible things to the name. And no, my parents weren't Polish. They were Italian and German, so I just have a Polish name. Let's keep going. Okay. So the service that I was talking to you about on Discord DVD was this service here, this GitHub Watcher. And I don't know if it has overlaps with this, the building of a container, so we'll cover both of them. Basically, to support this Node.js application, we have to build a container from their code. And even if they have a Docker file, we have to pull their code and actually build the container from it. The other thing that we have to do is they shouldn't have to tell us to rebuild. We should be watching their Git repo, and if they push to a branch, if they specify a branch, I don't know if it's harder to implement tag. If it's as easy to implement tag, we can do branch or tag. I would love to do both, but branch is my number one goal for January. We need to kick off stuff. So I don't know if this watcher also pulls the code, because if you can see here for Nighthound is the one that's working on the service that builds the container. You'll notice here, does the Git repo get attached to this service? So basically what could happen, the reason I'm putting this as a question mark, is the service that builds the container could pull the code as well. It could be given the link to the code, and it could pull the code and then build it. But what could happen is that this could build it, or this GitHub watcher could actually pull the code when there's a change and an update, and then you could attach that to this container. That has some complicated orchestrational things there. But if we're using a cloud, if we're using a public cloud, we can actually just have multiple things that can read. So you could do a read, a write one, read many, just storage. And so you could just mount it here to write the Git repo to it, and then mount it here to read. So I think that's fine. But that's something for you and Nighthound to work out. I put source controller here as a possibility. Again, maybe it's not what we want or need. I don't know. I haven't really given this a ton of thought. I know that Argo CD does this. So if you look at Argo CD, don't worry about Legion. Legion is next steps. Okay, you weren't here for a lot of it, but where did you read Legion? Because Legion's only over here that I saw. Submodule, I guess we're talking about a different Legion. You didn't add Legion. We don't need this. We don't need this. So all we need is Legion is something that we might use in the future. And if you, I think I can share this. I'll save it and get it in the Git repo. There's layers of the cloud provider. I'll delete this. And we're working on the layer 3. There's layer 2 and layer 1. And Legion would be something, Legion and Aura would be what we use to do layer 2 management. It's not what we'll do for services. Services will be, which is codename Eddington, is going to be leveraging Kubernetes. Legion is like Kubernetes, but fairly different. Yeah, Legion is like, the best I could explain it right now, and I'll make videos on it when we're starting to work on it more in depth. right now I'm focusing on this stuff. Legion is like Kubernetes, but fairly different. It's kind of like Aura is like Docker, but fairly different. Would be the best way to say that. Aura is a workload runner, and Legion is a workload scheduler, whereas Kubernetes is a container or is a pod scheduler, very very specifically. And Docker is also a workload runner like Aura, but Docker is very much a container runner. Now they're also branching into Wasm runner, but Aura actually has a lot of the power that I'm going to need for this. Because there's physical management, you could do things with like, you could do all of the management through these weird containers that you actually mount physically and give admin, but then there's no difference to actually running it in its own process directly on the machine because you actually have admin on the machine. So yeah, anyways. No, but you could do Lambda like stuff on it. We'll get into this. We're not worried about these two. Let's not worry about these two until later, and I will explain them more in depth. This was a very light overview just to say we can work on this one first, then we can work on this one, then we can work on this one, and we're not really shooting ourselves in the foot, which is the cool part about this, because doing all of them at the same time would be a lot of work, and I just don't have enough time for that. All right. So all the GitHub Watcher needs to do is needs to watch for updates to a Git repo, needs to call appropriate update service to update the deployment, and I put base work on this. This is a maybe. Wrap this maybe. I don't know how Argo CD does it. We could actually look at their Go mod in here. Go mod. Let's see. We could look at what they use to interface with Git. That's a horrible search. I love how Go does their thing. Yeah, they use like Go GitHub. I don't know if this is what we would want to use. They use Go Git and Go GitHub. So I don't know. Maybe we just use these things. I'm gonna post this in chat. So and I'm gonna also post this in the Excel-draw. Okay. So basically what this is wanting to do is make sure that we watch Git for a tag. Yeah, Firefox search, it might do pattern matching. I don't know how to do it on Firefox, so it's okay. I don't need. I'm just saying, watching a Git repo is something that people have done. There's Flux does it. Argo CD does it. We shouldn't recreate the wheel. We should use whatever projects people are doing. Now, the bigger question between these is how do these interact? Is it that this also pulls the code? I don't know. If you're talking about Go Git here, this right here, this definitely allows you to pull and clone the code and stuff like that. So maybe that owns it. So maybe this owns actually pulling the code. And then we have to figure out how to orchestrate it to Nighthound's thing that actually builds it. Maybe we merge these two services. Maybe we make this a container service and they're merged. That's fine with me. I don't know. I don't care at this point. Eventually, in a perfect world, I think these two things are separate, honestly. But initially, we can make them the same. Oh, source controller doesn't seem like it leverages webhooks. I don't know. I don't know. I don't think that you would have to leverage webhooks. You could just webhooks should be pretty easy to set up though, because if it's a public repository, you can do it. I can do it in Rust in, very quickly. I've already done this in Rust. I don't think it would be hard, or I don't think it for a public repository it should be hard to set up a webhook. I don't think so. I could be wrong. Happy to be wrong. And if pulling is the correct choice, then we pull them. We don't have to pull them often. Like, we could set this up to be every 5 minutes or a minute. That will scale for quite a while. So, the idea is let's do whatever's easiest to do this. Then, once we have this, once it's out there, people can use it, people can give us feedback. We'll start working on actually making some of these initial decisions better and working on a better end goal. Because there's a lot that we need to provide. This is like just the bare bones of what would be a useful thing. So, DVD, does that make sense? Or Zephyr Hills? Oh, a UI check now would be great. Yeah, we could do like a 5-minute pulling and then a check now button. That would be great. That way our pulling is very slow and most people don't expect it to deploy immediately anyways. And longest would be 5 minutes. That would let us scale forever effectively. I do believe that there's some questions around whether this is a single service or we make it 2 services. I think eventually it would be nice to have 2 services. I think to make it 2 services really nicely, we need nats.io for messaging, which probably isn't too hard. So you guys tell me I need nats, and I will get you guys nats inside cluster. So we'll do this. 7. So if you guys don't know what nats.io is, it's this right here. It's effectively a less sucky. I don't know that that's actually true, but it's basically Kafka. I think it should be pretty easy to get set up so that we can use it internally for our control plane. I would love. So one of the things that I want this cloud to do is I want to have an ORM around messaging. So what I mean by that is effectively, you know how here we have these models for our ORM for our API. Let's open that up. We have these, and these define how our database looks. I want to build an ORM around Nats that says, hey, you can just use this, and guess what? When your application runs, you don't have to manage the infrastructure of Nats. You don't have to manage any of that stuff. We'll manage it, we'll deploy it, and it will just work. In your application, you just say, I want this message, and I want to be able to send it. And that's all. That's what I want to bring to the cloud. Death to infrastructure as code, and light to infrastructure as it just exists when I need it. I don't know what to call that because it's like basically uninfrastructure. You don't worry about the infrastructure, period. Now, obviously in the null cloud, eventually there's going to be big clients and stuff that want to manage their own infrastructure. They want a VM for whatever reason, they want it. They should be able to do it too. They should be able to do all of the things that they can in the other clouds, but my first and primary goal is to uninfrastructure people. Secondary goal is to let people use infrastructure as code because that's what they want to do, and that's fine. All right. Well, cool. It is 12:30 for me. I have been streaming for 3 hours. That's about as, yeah, auto infrastructure, auto infra. That's what I want. It's auto infra. I think that's going to be it for me today, though. Although this wasn't really coding, I do have to get. I need to go hang out with the kids some. I got them some frisbees, so we gotta run to the park to throw frisbees. And I don't want to get too hot in the day before that happens. And some boomerangs. Boomerangs never work. I have never had a boomerang actually work. Probably because I'm throwing it, but we got to go try throwing that. Oh, ChatGPT. Okay, yes. ChatGPT. Let's try to get this into ChatGPT. Absolutely. I have a little bit of time. We can definitely do ChatGPT experiment. Cone of silence. All right. Okay, so with all of this, I actually think, yeah, just do one line. Okay. How do we want to word this? Which one do we want to do? Which service do we want to do? We're going to touch it up a little bit for the AI. You want to do this, the container builder service? All right. GitHub Watcher. Okay. Oh, you two are going to use ChatGPT. I see how it is. No. We're going to do this one, and then we'll come back. Okay. I need to write a Git. We're just going to make it GitHub. To watch a GitHub repo for updates to a branch. Here are my requirements. Let's actually add that it needs to be written in Go. A, B, C, D. This is actually D this time. Written in Go. Hey, if it works, I'm with Russell. If it works, use it. The only thing I have to say is you can't make a pull request and somebody's like, oh, this is a security flaw, and you can't be like, oh, well, ChatGPT wrote it, so it's not my fault. Take it as a learning experience. Learn from it, because then that you're supposed to be looking forward to that. That's if you're checking it in, I expect that it's of your quality. But yeah, use whatever tool helps you. I'm going to remove this. I'm going to say, should leverage popular Go repos, if possible. I would have laughed if it put my access token there. Number of times I've leaked my access token on. I need, those services that provide you identity theft. I need one of those for my access tokens as a streamer. So they're pulling. They're 100% just pulling. I wish it would widen. Like, why not? I have the screen real estate. for a friend, would you paste it into chat for me? Here you go at DVD. Here you go. Not because you need it or anything. Let's see. Is it pulling? I think it's pulling. Let's see. So after 1 minute, check for updates. This is compare commits. So it's taking the branch. So basically it's, oh, wait. What is it doing? So it's, I don't know what compare commit. I don't know that this actually works. We can look if the GitHub API. It compares two commits, base and head. So I think this is actually working because this just needs to be head. So this is the base branch, and this is like this might not be working because even if this is head, that would be wrong. You want what was okay. So this is wrong, and only because it doesn't know what you had. So you need the SHA of what you want to compare with. So what we have deployed should be a SHA that's stored, and you want to compare that with the branch. So basically, branch should be here, and the SHA should be here. I have seen hallucinated methods. Actually, I was using ChatGPT on one stream a while ago to do some GitHub command line, and it hallucinated command line commands all over the place. It was really rough. It was pretty fantastic because the commands were the ones I exactly wanted, and they weren't actual commands. This is an actual command. It just is not exactly what we want. So I think you could take this as boilerplate, but I would actually look at Argo CD because there's a lot of stuff where, like, again, you're not wanting to compare it with the head and the branch. You're wanting to compare the latest of the branch with the commit that we did. So, all right, let's also, a thing to keep in mind, we have to do this for multiple users. This isn't just a one. There's going to be a lot of these for multiple users. But also, you guys don't know Go very well, or DVD, I know that you don't know Go very well. So this is actually a really great way to learn some of this. Let's do another one. Let's do the build a container. Go is super simple. People are like, oh, I don't know Go, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, look, if you don't know Go, that's fine. If you've written any code before, it's pretty. Now, there's some gotchas with Go with, like, is it a pointer or is it a a value that actually roughly matters when you're actually making implementation. So if you're looking at this code and you're looking at like this implementation, this is an implementation on a pointer. Now, they don't distinguish like using a pointer, like if you want to use this value, you still use dot. There's no like arrow syntax or anything. So it's actually hard to know whether you have a pointer or a value, which I actually don't like about it. And so you can see that here we have a pointer to it. There's some oddities around like if this is not a pointer, then you actually copy on these things. And so like a lot of people screw this up. Other than that, Go is stupid easy. And even if you copy, it's like you're not being memory efficient because you're copying the struct when you don't need to be. Like that's the biggest thing in Go is like new people will copy memory way more than they need to because they don't actually understand the ramifications for what they're doing. But Go is stupid simple. It's like one of my favorite aspects of Go is you can hand it to somebody that's only done Python and they can be like, yeah, I can read this. I can update it. Easy. The ramifications. That's a Rust joke. That's a Rust joke coming up. The ramifications. All right, so we'll get Nighthound, his Kickstarter. We'll get. I also need a service that builds a container and stores that container information. And stores that container information in a Postgres database using what was it? What was the thing that we were using? It was Donut. It wasn't Donut. It was not Donut. Not Donut. Bun. I don't know why I was thinking Donut. Using Go Bun. We also have the following requirements. Oh yeah, let's make that official. PostgreSQL. PostgRE. It's really PostgreQL. People that say Postgres just don't know what it is. It's PostgRE. We'll have our PostgRE. I'm sorry, that was really dumb. I hate English. All right. Now I'm going to go get donuts after exercising in the park with the kids. That's for sure. A service that can build a container given a Git repo URL. Does the Git repo... we're going to remove these questions. We're just going to make the assumptions. Service needs to push... and stores the new image in... we're just going to put it on Docker Hub. And store... container image... Wait. Okay, so I also need a service that builds a container image. I don't need Postgres in this. Actually, I just need to store that on Docker Hub. And stores that container, we'll say that new image on Docker Hub. Actually, I'm doing you a big favor here, Nighthound. That's the consolation. After I threw your guys' boomerang into the pasture of cows, our park is by a farm. We'll go get donuts. That sounds about that sounds about right. That's my Saturdays. How does going to the park cause you to gain weight, Eric? Quite easily. All right. Let's see. Stores the new image on Docker Hub, and information on that image in well, we also have the following requirements. Service that can build the container given a Git URL to a Node.js repo. I need a service that builds a Node.js container image needs to push the image to a container registry. Push the new image to Docker Hub. We'll remove this requirement. Should store container as I meant new line. I meant new line. Maybe the greatest thing about ChatGPT is that after using it, people start to get better at writing specifications. That's actually probably not wrong. It makes you think about what you're actually asking. I think that this is maybe even a good thing when you go to create something, just to force you to think of the specifications, the limitations, what you want to limit, because you're really thinking about how ChatGPT is going to intercept it. Now, it's not using bun. I said bun, didn't I? No, I didn't. I said in PostgreSQL. 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 I think it died. It didn't finish this. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, we're not done. Now, I think that this is inherently going to fail. And, okay. Post-Greek squirrel. Post-Greek squirrel. I like that one. Okay, so this inherently fails because we have to build in a container. So there's BuildKit that can help with us. But yeah, this is. Oh, I needed to press continue generating. But this is already not correct because this assumes that it can talk to the Docker daemon directly. Oh, that SQL directly in there. Okay, we need to also get it to use bun. Okay, so let's copy and paste this. We got to update our requirements a little. All right. Using bun. Go bun. The other thing that we were saying is A, B, C, D, E, F. We need this to work in a container. I doubt this. If it solves this problem, I will be amazed. So we're using GoBun. Was there anything else? Let's see how it did, and we'll see if there's anything else we need to tweak. So let's see. It didn't do anything with. Interesting. So it did the database stuff, but it didn't do a Git. I don't see any Git. It's opening Postgres. This is the problem that will fail. The Docker client. We don't have a Docker client. The Docker client won't work. So here's the Git repo URL. The other problem that I don't think it's going to do is I think it's going to look for a Docker file, even if it did this. But I don't see where it used this image. Git repo URL, image ID. Okay, in this build container image. This repo URL, where is it used? I don't actually see it using the Git repo URL. Do you guys see it using it? It's building the image here. Oh. It's setting its build context to a string. Can the Docker client build from a Git string? Does it do this? I don't know. I don't know that this is a thing. But it's also not building a Node.js container. So we need to also update this. This needs to work in a container. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. The other requirement is that there is no Docker file in the repo. All right, here we go. Here we go. I'll give you this code too. All right, so we're getting bun this time. So our buns are fine. You got... You know what? Maybe we need to specify build kit. Maybe we need to just tell it to use Moby build kit. I'm actually gonna do that. I don't want it to waste its time. Or our time waiting for it. We need... Using Moby build kit. I think that's what it is. GitHub Moby build kit. There we go. I'm not going to pretend you're not here, Monta. We went through everything. We're having a little bit of fun. I need to get going. We're having a little bit of fun. Oh, no, it's still using the Docker client. I thought I said use build kit. I thought... okay, so while that's generating, I'll go over what we did. I will get this in the repo itself. But basically, we went over high layer of layers of a cloud provider, which we talked about the physical management, and then the services that are provided, and how we're going from the top down. So Eddington is our code name for the null cloud right now, which provides the services, and this runs in a Kubernetes cluster. Then later, this is the sequence and order that we're going to do it. We're going to work with something like Legion and Aura. And it's going to operate kind of like BottleRocket or some of those types of things. A little bit differently, but like those. And then, eventually, if people really like this, we'll get into buying our own hardware, plugging in cables, whatever. But this is kind of the layers of things. Then we got into our July goals here, which is you can log in, you can deploy any Docker file or pre-built container, and lets you deploy a Node.js, should be any in the future, so anything, application without a Docker file, with just a GitHub repo. I didn't say GitHub repo. Oh, that's not going to fit. I need it to fit. Okay, we'll make this larger. There we go. Only public repos for July. Expose that container via URL. Stretch goals. Expose logs in UI. Okay. So to do those things, to do those simple things, we came up with all the components that we were working on. And if somebody wanted to help out, who to reach out to in Discord. So, yeah. So we have the UI, we have the GitHub Watcher that's going to watch for updates in GitHub. We have the service that builds a container. We have login. We have a container runner that's going to actually orchestrate running that container in Kubernetes. It's going to take an image and run it in the customer's namespace. It's going to update Istio virtual services gateway to expose the application and update the app service to run the new service. So in the API service, we basically have two things. We have the user service and the API service, or the app service. And then this is kind of stretch maybe. I would love to have all these things communicate through events. If we can do that with Nats.io, great. If we can't, we can't, and everything can just directly call each other for the time being. That's kind of the overload. I have to. The getting the donut is a mandatory. Playing in the park is secondary now. Now that you guys have got me on donuts. All right, let's see what it's done. It completely bypassed BuildKit. I'm upset. I can barely speak. I'm so upset. It did get bun though, so I'm happy about that. This is not going to work because it's using Docker client. Can't do that. I tried to tell it. I tried. Is it going to use the GitHub repo? I don't know. It's calling this build container image. Oh, I need to continue generating. Oh my gosh. It's doing this. Build container image. Oh my gosh. It's execing commands. It's not using go get. Oh my gosh. Okay, so one last attempt to get this to make something sane. We need... All right. We also need a service that builds a Node.js container image using Moby Build Kit. I don't know how more specific that can be. And stores that new image on Docker Hub and information on that image in PostgreSQL. PostgreSQL. It's a PostgreSQL using GoBun. We have the following requirements. Okay. What else did it screw up? We should, let's see. I want to use Go GitHub library to pull the repository. Okay. I was going to say, I feel like once you get significantly complex, you spend more time like massaging it into a reasonable output than, and this isn't going to be reasonable anyways. It didn't get BuildKit again. I explicitly said BuildKit. Oh, let's put this into Kodi. Let's put this into Kodi and see what that comes up with. Let's just look at the imports. I can tell you, oh no. Kodi just fell. Oh, I said Postgres and it went with it went with Squirrel Light. It went with Squirrel Light. It just ignored the Postgres. Yeah, it has. I do really need to get going. This was kind of fun. I had fun doing this. We need to do a stream just on massaging AIs to do our bidding. Sometimes it feels like they force you into their bidding. They're like, no, this is what you're going to use. This wasn't better, I don't think. I meant Squeal Light. Sorry. I'm getting so confused as to which name we actually call each of these databases. Squeal Light. Yes. It used Squeal Light instead of Postgre Squirrel. We wanted Postgre Squirrel instead of Squeal Light. Anyways, thank you all for watching. I had a lot of fun. We updated some stuff and we got good information down on this. So I'm going to try to make a video in the very near future with what we're doing. It's probably going to be closer to the middle of July when I release that video, because I want that video to kind of be like, hey, look, it's coming up. You can give us your email if you want, or you can go sign up and whatnot. So anyways, but I want to show like what we're learning and those types of things. So it should be good. Anyways, thank you so much for joining today. I appreciated everybody's input. I think we had fun. We're going to have to definitely do an AI stream in the near future. And yeah. Anyways, see you everybody. Thanks for joining. Bye.